On today's episode of the Driven Mad podcast, we ask the three big questions that have come from the Spanish Grand Prix. Number one, were the stewards right to punish Yuki Tsunoda? 2, a Red Bull unbeatable? And 3, are Mercedes back? We answer those questions coming up.
Pause for jingle.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Driven Mad podcast, supported by Sports Illustrated. My name's Alex Harrington and this, to my left, is Lydia Mee.
Hello, and if you like what we're saying, please do give us a follow on socials. So I'm at Lydia Mee F1, he is at Alex Does F1, and while you're there, give F1 F all a follow as well to keep up with all the latest news.
Yeah, Driven Mad because we are indeed a bit crazy about F1. The Spanish Grand Prix. First, before we get into the stories, let's talk about the main bits that came out of it. Out of 10, go.
I'm going to say 7.
7? Wow, that's high.
I knew you were going to say that. That's because, how do I say this? I quite enjoyed that not a lot was happening.
It was just because you didn't have to do much work.
Yeah, I could actually... because... I was, there wasn't any red flags, any yellow flags. The more I'm saying it, I'm like,
Yeah, no breaking news. Yep, I get it.
Yeah, no breaking news, so I could actually sit back and enjoy it. But aside from that, let's ignore Max for a second, because the race for first, there wasn't really one. So that wasn't that exciting. But the starting grid was really exciting.
Yeah, mixed grid.
Yeah. Qualifying was great. So I like it when it's not who you usually expect in the top 10 or, the rest of the grid, apart from Max on pole, obviously. And then very quickly, that changed. And I found that really exciting.
No, I agree with that. I think...
I'm defending my 7.
Fair enough. I'd give it a 4. I'd give it a 4.
Oh my God.
Just because, like you said, nothing really happened. It was expected for Max Verstappen to win, of course. Of course he's going to win. It's the 2023 F1 calendar. Of course he's going to win. But no, you're right. What kind of did it for me was the different grid. We had Fernando down in, Aston Martin had a bit of a Barney, didn't they? It was nice to see Mercedes a bit further up. We'll get to that later on in the episode.
I am shocked.
I'm shocked.
I can't believe you're giving it a 4.
Oh, you're shocked about that? Yeah. I thought you were shocked about Mercedes. No, I didn't think it was right. And questionable stewarding. Stewarding.
Yeah.
Which Gunther Steiner has already brought up, and he got a punishment for it. Yeah. He was told off. He was like, you know what, FIA, this isn't working for me. And they were like, you know what? Punish.
Yeah.
That's what that needs. What's going on, FIA?
You need to be able to talk... Well, just speak freely about your opinion.
You are allowed to criticize it because he is a huge investor into the sport.
Oh.
Madness.
Anyway.
Madness. Let's get on to the first story. Yuki Tsunoda. How do we feel about that? Are you for or against the punishment? Let's talk about what happened first of all, actually. So Tsunoda, on lap 56, it says in my notes, he pushed Zhou Guanyu off the track, turn 1, and he received a 5-second penalty for it, which actually put him down to P12. He was going to be P9, but he was pushed out of the points by this punishment. Did you see his face afterwards?
Don't. It's heartbreaking. See, I don't want to say it, but I agree with the penalty. My
heart just sank.
I know. Me too. I hate myself a little bit inside. God, he's having real bad luck.
Yeah.
He really, really is. And I really feel for him, but I do think he needed to get that penalty.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It does make sense. But, well, I had a process because I like Yuki Tsunoda. I think he's a really reliable, good. He's becoming a really mature driver as well. Mm. The first angle I saw, it looked like it was a penalty really out of the blue. I didn't agree with the penalty. Yeah. It looked, from what I saw, this first angle, he turned the corner, Zhou Guanyu's on the outside. and it was almost like Zhou was being a bit too defensive, and he left the track way before it was really necessary. And it looked as though if he'd stayed in it, then it would have pushed Yuki wider on the next corner, but he would have stayed on the track because I think from this first angle when Zhou went off, it did look like there was actually quite a bit of track left for him to stay on. But the second angle I saw from I think it was actually from Yuki's camera on the Halo.
Yeah.
That looked a little closer.
Yeah.
Because I actually tweeted about this. Alex does F1. Crafty.
Here we go.
Blood.
Shameless.
And I mean, it got almost I can't remember what it got, like 500 likes. It was ridiculous. It's my first big hit tweet. It was insanely great. I haven't stopped talking about it. But I'm actually not so sure I believe what I tweeted anymore, looking at that second angle. I am a fraud.
But you're never going to delete it.
Oh, no.
See what he likes.
The engagement was ridiculous.
I feel like you've been on a real journey with this.
I have.
I'm writing in your diary.
Well, I bought the blue tick. Guys, I bought the blue tick. If you believe in blue ticks, let me...
about going on this journey with Yuki Tsunoda's penalty. We're not talking
about I've been on a Twitter jet. I bought the blue tick and my organic reach. Organic, I paid for it. It's going through the roof. But let me know below if you now hate me.
Shall we get back to Yuki Tsunoda?
Yeah, I'm kind of processing it. I'm still in two minds, but people compared it to Latifi. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't Latifi. It was Mazepin.
No, really?
It was Mazepin, yeah. And actually, because he got a punishment for a similar thing, and it looked almost identical. So, I'm the same. When it first happened, I was like, wait, what? And then I saw a replay, and I was like, no, I do think he should have got that. Yeah. But then the only other thing where I'm like, well, Esteban Ocon on Fernando Alonso. I knew this was going to come up.
And I was just...
Mainly because it says in our notes that it.
There was no penalty there. Lewis and George on Lewis.
Can we just talk about what actually happened between Alonso and Ocon? Alonso was on the offensive, Ocon was defending. And so if you didn't know, coming up to a corner, you're allowed to make one defensive move. You cannot make two defensive moves, or three, or four, or whatever. You place yourself on the track. And you've got to do it within a safe distance. But Alonso was literally going for the OSA and Esteban. No, Bestie, yeah. He pushes Alonso all the way over to the pits. Exactly. And Alonso, well done for driving around that. But it's not the first time these guys have clashed as well.
No.
But yeah, crazy. And I can't believe Esteban wasn't punished for that.
No. Also, I love afterwards. And I feel like this shows how much of a new journey Alonso's on with Aston Martin.
Oh, he's been spiritually refreshed.
Just a new person. So afterwards, he was just a bit like, brushed it off. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Still got round him. Who really cares? Whereas last year,
you'd have punched him.
He'd have been like, what are you doing? To have the right go. And then
shouting down his radio.
Yeah. It's really dangerous.
I saw it on the screens afterwards, and again, I saw that angle. It just wasn't good.
We'd be having a Yuki Tsunoda team radio.
Oh, I do love Yuki. Sorry, I was just thinking. I do love Yuki. He's great. He's done so much maturing in the last couple of years, but his radio, little. They're amazing, aren't they? His
radio and George's radio, very different, completely like opposite ends. But they are Crikey.
Oh, George. George, I love you, man.
What did he say? He did that overtake that was really good, and his
his engineer was like, "Oh, that was solid."
Solid, just solid.
Solid. That was the sass. I love it.
So good.
I love it. But talking to George Russell, George and Lewis had a spat as well it was qualifying.
Qualifying, yeah. The end.
Yeah, they're both going.
Oh no, it wasn't the end. Sorry, it was Q2. Wasn't it? End of Q2.
I can't remember, but they were both doing flying laps.
Yeah.
And Lewis was behind George, getting a tow, and he was like, "Oh, George has moved out the way." He was actually getting a tow from Carlos Sainz, the Ferrari in front, and Lewis Hamilton was like, "You know what? This is my chance." He's obviously moving out the way. He'll go start his flying lap, when actually George was doing exactly the same thing, just slightly slower because he was a little further back from the Ferrari than Lewis was to him. And George moved back onto the racing line to the left of the track, and hit Hamilton. It was just a racing incident, isn't it?
Yeah, the difference there is that obviously they're all going to say they didn't see them, but George wasn't necessarily informed. They said there was a miscommunication, so he wasn't aware that Lewis was there.
Yeah, and it did actually give Lewis damage on his car as well.
And George was, you know, in his mind, he's thinking, well, I'm getting this slipstream, then I'll pull out. And he just didn't realise. So I do get that they were just basically given a slap on the wrist, weren't they? Don't do it again.
Yeah, I mean, they should have. I mean, look, if Leclerc gets a punishment for impeding Norris, George quite severely impeded Hamilton because he literally damaged his front wing.
That's true. That is true, because I suppose Leclerc, that wasn't in Monaco, that wasn't his fault.
Yeah, that was again miscommunication.
The team,
not telling him.
Okay, yeah.
So, you know, there's kind of we can to and fro on this, but yeah, I mean,
That will be ordered.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, the stewards are lovely. FIA, if you're watching this, your stewards are lovely, but they don't know what they're doing.
Like, you get a blue tick, and this is what happens. You're a changed person.
No, Gunther Steiner was right. They need full-time stewards.
They just need consistency, don't they?
Exactly. It just needs to be the same people, same rules.
Okay, next question. I think I know your answer already. I think I know everyone's answer already. Can anyone beat Red Bull?
No,
No.
not a chance. No, Red Bull is so far ahead. I mean, Max was literally 24 seconds ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who came P2.
Yeah. Can we just take a moment? When Max was, he was just miles ahead, just living his best life.
He's probably on his phone.
Thinking about what he's having for dinner.
He was going through TikTok.
Yeah. And then obviously he's getting his warnings for track limits. But there literally was no risk for him, unless something drastic happened, like a red flag or yellow flag or whatever.
Yeah.
But even then, the Red Bull has the pace that he can just extend the lead again once the race got going.
He presses the big red button. I say it time and time again.
Yes.
I say the big red button helps him every time. No, I mean, go on.
And then obviously the team are like, just, you know, be safe. Don't push. You don't have to. What's my fastest lap? Mm-hmm. They're like, don't push. And he's like,
it's not worth the risk.
I'm not going to do that, actually.
Yeah.
I quite like the idea of a Grand Slam.
Yeah, and he got it. He got it. He came first in FP1, FP2, FP3, qualifying, and obviously the race by 24 seconds.
He led every lap of the race.
Yes.
And guess the fastest lap.
And guess what he said afterwards?
Lovely.
No, he did say it's very lovely, which I love. I just love the wording.
Phrase.
Yeah, I love the wording that Max. And in a tweet afterwards, he said it was simply perfect. That's just adorable, isn't it?
Oh, it's perfectly splendid.
Oh God, he's now a horror movie character. You know what he said afterwards? He was like, you know what? There was still performance left in the tank. There was the Red Bull could have gone faster.
The groans from all the other garages.
I know. I know. Toto Wolff must have gone, oh! I mean, we'll get to that in a minute, but no, I mean,
all right.
Maybe he didn't do quite that, but it's something very similar, I'm sure. I mean, come on, imagine being like Aston Martin or I mean, we'll get to Aston Martin upgrades as well in a sec, but imagine being Aston Martin, Mercedes. I mean, Ferrari's just like, before we even think about anyone else, we've got to think about ourselves.
Yeah.
Rumour has it, massive firing within Ferrari quite soon. We don't, it's not confirmed, but rumour has it. But no, Red Bull just came out saying, look, there's plenty left in the tank. Verstappen could have been 40 seconds ahead, which is a bit of a blow to F1 fans because there just isn't a competition.
Do you think they could win every race?
Unless something drastic happens. Yes, I do. And, you know, we don't know what's going to... Look, I mean, the thing is we are waiting for the Red Bull wind tunnel deficit to start, aren't we? If you didn't know, they were punished last year for going over the cost cap in 2021. And that resulted in a massive fine. Was it 4 million?
7 mil.
7 mil, wow. Pocket change for Red Bull, but wow. And a 10% reduction in wind tunnel time. Because they came first in the Constructors' Championship, they have 70% of the allotted wind tunnel time. Minus 10%, that brings you down to 63%. So they are massively low on the wind tunnel time. The issue is that Red Bull are very, very bright. They know what they're doing. So they've got their aerodynamics sorted. Adrian Newey, this book down here.
Genius.
But what are they doing? They have no time in the wind tunnel. So what are they doing? They're focusing their development on lightening the car. And I mean, that is so bright. And they have upgrades coming. I've got a quote here from Helmut Marko, who says, when I Cavalli, he says, we're relaxed about it. What is still in the pipeline has been planned for a long time. We are 2 or 3 tenths ahead, and that is quite a lot. And I do agree with him. They're just monsters this year, aren't they? And I don't know, they've got a 135-point lead in the championship. Sergio Perez, he is the question though, isn't he? Sergio Perez is the question. What do Red Bull do about Sergio Perez? Because they've got the car to allow them to compete on a P2 in every race. Perez so far has shown that he can make small mistakes, but they have big consequences.
Yeah.
He wasn't even on the podium in the Spanish Grand Prix. He wasn't even on the podium. And in a car that allows a driver to be 24 seconds ahead of the pack, that is a little disastrous.
Yeah, we're seeing little mistakes happen now, aren't we? And I think partly, do you think it's the pressure getting to him maybe?
Yeah, I do.
Obviously, he got close to putting real pressure on Max for the lead of the championship.
Yeah, but why was that? Saudi Arabia, Max had issues with the car.
Yeah. But he never, whatever the problem was, he was still quite close to him in the championship. He was closing the gap, and suddenly he's like, oh, could I do this? And it's a real shift in his mindset, probably, because obviously he is employed to be the second driver.
Yeah.
A bit like Valtteri to Lewis. So he is there basically to come second. And then suddenly he thinks, oh, maybe I can fight for my own championship. There was all the tension.
The supposed tension.
The bought-in tension, thank you.
Alleged.
And now there's a lot of pressure on him, and I think he's buckling a little bit. And also, he's a very good driver.
He is.
But
he's one of the best.
Max has shown that when he has to start from the back, he can still put his head down, pick them off one by one, and he'll get on a podium still.
Yeah, within 20 laps.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing though. Max is like, he's a Superman, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's the thing. He's not human. He's a computer. He reminds me so much of Niki Lauda, actually. He's so focused on racing.
Not human. What are you talking about?
No, because Niki Lauda is very logical, wasn't it? He's very logical, and his life revolved around racing, and that's the thing. Like, we saw, I can't remember which race it was, but within 24 hours, Max had won the race, gone home, or wherever he was staying, and did a load of sim racing, and won all of them as well.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any other driver on the grid that's doing that right now.
No. He doesn't care about, this is very similar to Niki Lauda, I suppose. He doesn't care about the extra stuff.
The drama. The press.
So obviously he has to do that, and that's part of his contract. He's got media obligations, but
sponsors.
He doesn't. He just wants to race.
Yeah. So no, I going back to Sergio Perez, I do think they're not going to do anything. No. Sergio Perez is the best driver they have right now, and there's no one else to replace him as well. There's no better driver on the grid to replace him.
No.
I mean, there's Leclerc and arguably Hamilton, but they're never going to bring in another dominant driver.
No, because, I mean, loads of people are saying, oh, Lando Norris should move, or, Yuki Tsunoda in the future. I mean, he's with AlphaTauri, so his progression will be eventually, unless he moves, to go to Red Bull. But they don't want someone who's going to necessarily try and challenge Max, because that's when issues happen.
You don't want another Ricciardo.
No, where they just start being super aggressive on track to each other, then they crash, and then they're both DNFing everywhere else.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it, and not what the team wants. But I don't know. So he's in contract, doesn't he, till the end of next year?
Yeah.
the silly season next year, I think, will be far more interesting.
Oh,
because
barely
there's
anything like
quite
this year.
a few that are coming up. Although I know we're going to come on to that. George is extended. Charles will be coming out of his. So there's a few options.
Yeah, next year is going to be much more interesting than this year.
But what is interesting, just going back to Red Bull's dominance, I think over the last 2 weekends, we've had a really good look. Obviously, with Monaco, they started lifting all the cars. We saw the floor. Everyone was just running to see the underneath of the cars. And it was so interesting to see the difference between Red Bull and Mercedes. And now, I don't even know.
Now you got Williams,
Which is just...
I'm not sure they knew they could change the floor.
It's not, though.
No, I love Williams, and I think they've got
It was...
some talent behind the team.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, James Vowles is...
that was such a good move.
Alex Albon, what a driver.
Yeah.
What a driver he is.
But I think it just showed how much of a difference there still is in the grid.
Despite the cost cap.
Yeah, I mean, like you said before, not here, just to me privately,
We do talk outside of this.
we do know each other. It's weird. Red Bull, Mercedes, the top teams prior to the cost cap, obviously when they had unlimited budget, they had so much money, they have the infrastructure there and facilities to create the cars, and obviously the floor, which is incredibly intricate. Whereas Williams...
And important. It's one of the most important parts of the car this year.
Williams didn't have that infrastructure there. They've now got the cost cap, as does everyone. But they've got to think, okay, are we going to spend our money on building this and having it for the future? Or are we going to put that money elsewhere on the car? Whereas Red Bull or Mercedes don't have to think about that because they've already got that there.
They've already got all the software, all the development done. And Williams is still behind. And James Vowles has come out and said this. Look, even with now, because of the cost cap, it doesn't matter how much money the team has, we cannot catch up.
Can you imagine him walking in on his first day and be like,
yeah, I mean, he was like, they're still running Windows XP. Like, come on, they're still in. It's like, can you imagine that? They come in, start the wind tunnel up, and the dial-up tone goes, man, can you imagine? I mean, it's crazy to think that Williams is so far behind, but it makes complete sense. And looking at the images of the floor, you go, oh yeah, like I'd love to see the underside of a Haas.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
So the issue is obviously they're a satellite constructor with Ferrari.
Yeah.
So they're just like in the parts bin going, oh that floor's nice. I mean, they'll their floor will actually be pretty good.
The idea of him literally rummaging through the bin.
It'll be Gunther Steiner going, oh, what the fuck is this? There you go. Oh, gee, we're going to be rock stars. I mean, come on, he's amazing.
Oh, he's so cool.
Oh no, I mean, yeah, you're right. It's crazy, but things are going to be interesting because look, Red Bull have Adrian Newey, but now the teams that can't afford it, they're starting to steal.
Oh, they're trying.
They're starting to steal people. McLaren has stolen Rob Marshall from Red Bull, the chief engineering officer, and that's going to be huge for McLaren. They are making serious moves. They had earlier this year, they had a restructuring of the organization, and now they're thinking, look, our car's a bit crap, so we need the best people. Yoink. And that's the issue with being at the top all the time. You are literally the target.
Yeah.
And this happened last year with Aston Martin. Aston Martin took a load of people from Red Bull, and guess what? It kind of worked. Yeah.
The jump they've had from 2022 to 2023 is ridiculous.
It's insane.
And I mean, with the other teams trying to get Red Bull, I mean, you can't blame them.
No, that's true.
You can't blame them for trying. But obviously, Helmut Marko said yesterday, so Ferrari had offered Adrian Newey a contract. They've tried, according to Marko, over the years multiple times, unsurprisingly, and he had agreed a contract and he was going to move, and the chief of Ferrari at the time was about to announce it, and then again, according to Helmut, he managed to convince him overnight. And then on a different evening, he had to convince Christian Horner not to leave, which blows my mind because
He is synonymous with Red Bull.
Well, yeah, he's been there from the start.
Yeah.
So for him to move, and it was when Mattia Binotto left,
Was it that recent?
yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah. And so he then again convinced him to stay, made a little jab, cost us millions more.
Rightly so.
Yeah, I mean, you take the opportunity to negotiate, why not?
Yeah.
But could you imagine if that had been announced? We would have all lost our minds.
Yeah. Why would you move from Red Bull?
Yeah.
So that was last year.
Yeah.
Why would you move from Red Bull? They're obviously so...
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I wonder if it was like a bit of a bargaining thing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to say I'm good. Pay me more.
Yeah.
Pay me more. But yeah. No, I mean, Adrian...
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Adrian Newey's always said, though, that, look, he's thought about moving. He's getting old. He's in his 60s, I believe.
It's not that old. That's not that old.
No, it's not that old. But, you know,
Close to retirement age.
close to retirement age, yes. And, you know, he's in his 60s. He's got children. Those children are in English schools. If he took a place in Ferrari, he'd have to move to Italy, pull his children out the schools, away from their friends, and he isn't going to do that.
Or just not see his family.
Well, yeah. No, I mean, he literally said in an interview, he was like, I'm not going to do it because Ferrari asked me to move. And, you know, who can blame him?
Yeah.
McLaren, however, they're UK-based.
Yeah.
As are Mercedes. Come on, cough up. Cough up.
I just can't. They're not going to leave.
No.
Unless they're getting...
Unless he fancies the challenge.
Yeah, I was just going to say, maybe he's just like, oh, this is too easy.
Yeah.
Like, I've created the perfect car. This is my baby, but I'm a bit bored. Like, there's the whole thing where you see him walking around the pit with his notebook.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone says that he just fixes in his mind
In his off time.
the problems on all the other cars just to kind of keep his mind going.
Well, he admitted...
I love.
Oh, I think it's great. He admitted... I mean, we don't know if this is true. This could be just him really like, oh, yes, I'm amazing. He admitted that he designed the RB19 on the weekends. Come on.
That's a flex.
That is a flex, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, the Red Bull have said that it is an issue that they are losing personnel to basically everyone.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I think this year they're fine. But the next question, will Mercedes... I mean, is Mercedes back? Will they reach Red Bull? What's your answer?
I think they're back. They're not going to reach Red Bull.
No. So Mercedes brought in upgrades. They actually brought in upgrades at Monaco, but because Monaco is Monaco, we didn't see any improvement.
There was maybe a tiny bit more feedback from the drivers saying that they felt that there was improvement, but, you know, they didn't want to say where the improvement was. But that was just, we were never going to see them in Monaco.
No, exactly. I mean, they were basically stuck in traffic, weren't they?
Yeah.
Exciting race, though. I actually quite enjoyed it when it started raining. Just a quick overview. The Mercedes cars had 3 major parts changed. Side pods, they now have them.
They're back.
They're back. The floor fencing, obviously, you know, quite an important part. It pushes, or rather kind of guides the air into the underfloor. And then the front suspension, kind of taking on like an Aston Martin, Red Bull-y anti-dive concept, which, you know, obviously you would after seeing the performance of the Bulls. I have a hot take.
Oh, God, here we go.
I actually prefer the way, not the performance, but I preferred the way the W13 looked.
Really?
Despite Vettel saying it looked like drop dough.
Oh, since he said that, I can't unsee it.
No, I think it looks great. It's like a teardrop. It's streamlined. It's sculptured. No?
I'm not. No, I'm not with you there.
Okay. I mean, fine.
Definitely looks better now.
Really, I love the black. Obviously, I love the black. But the W13 has a special place in my heart.
I just don't know why it.
It's a love relationship. Obviously, I hate it.
It was
because it was just so crap.
God, it was a nightmare.
And, you know, allowed Red Bull to run off with all the time and the performance in the world. But yeah, I think it looked really cool.
I do think I'm just going to move on from that because I just can't talk about the W13 looking good. I think Barcelona was always going to be a good track to see upgrades on. Obviously, it used to be the pre-season testing track. It's not a street race.
Oh, thank God.
Thank God for change. But I did still think it was maybe a little bit track specific still. There was other things going on. I don't think we're going to see double podiums for Mercedes.
Again.
Oh, don't say that. It was nice to see them both on the podium again. And obviously the moment, I'm going to go off on a little tangent, but the moment with Max.
Yeah,
and
it was lovely. It was.
Everyone was like, "Oh, what's going to happen?"
I'm hoping that just puts to rest these rumors of friction between the drivers. You know, Hamilton said, "Look, it's all crap. We are friends. Like, it's all racing is racing."
Yeah.
And
what happens on track is very different.
Yeah.
To once you're out of the car. Maybe once you've cooled down. I don't want to talk about Max and George.
No, that was a moment and a moment, wasn't it? High adrenaline, it's dangerous.
But yeah, once they've cooled down, once the adrenaline's gone,
they can reflect on it.
Yeah, it's just, that's what happens on track.
Yeah.
But it was a really nice moment to see.
Just laughing, celebrating together.
Yeah. Do you know what did make me a bit uneasy?
Go on.
Nico Rosberg doing the post-race interviews. I was like...
Yeah, Hamilton just walked off mid-sentence. It was awkward.
They managed to keep it professional.
They did. They did. I mean, I'm sure there's still a little, but again, I'm just feeding rumours, aren't I? I'm just feeding rumours. I'm sure they're completely fine.
Yeah, I think now that they're not
we're just looking
teammates.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it? God, it was such a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to calm down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mercedes, P2, P3, really good.
Yeah.
Look, like you said, there are other factors. Ferrari had a bad day. Aston Martin had a bad day.
Yeah.
Lando had a bad day.
Oh,
goodness. No, Toto Wolff is very confident that they have a good car. He is still apprehensive. Finally. He's apprehensive. Look, we should be apprehensive. Everything worked for Mercedes that weekend.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, last year... I've got it in my notes. Russell came P3, Hamilton came P5, and that was in the W13.
the beautiful,
the gorgeously sculpted W13. So look, there is a bit of track-specific performance there. Obviously, the drivers enjoy driving it, and it's a great track, isn't it?
I think as well with Mercedes, they have strategy down. As with Red Bull, their Red Bull strategy is like watertight. They've
obviously been taking notes from Ferrari.
They very rarely, they very rarely make a mistake. Whereas we're seeing with some of the other teams, mainly in Monaco rather than Spain, they're starting to make
crumble under the pressure.
Strategic errors. Oh, when there was a moment where we thought they were going to do a double stack.
Yeah, they said that both were pissing. I think it was like Scott's one.
But your actions have consequences. Please stop doing this. Because I was just like, because it just...
My heart stopped.
Yeah.
But not again. Not again.
Everyone was just like, no, they're not.
No, they didn't end up doing it, but my God.
Doing this.
Yeah.
Just, it's great when it works. It's really exciting when it does work.
Yeah.
But the stress is just, I cannot cope.
Anyway, we'll get on to other drivers in a second, but Mercedes, Toto Wolff, apprehensive.
Yeah.
Red Bull, Christian Horner's come out and said, cost cap.
There we go.
I mean, it wasn't quite like that. Horner's just come out and he's been like, come on. I mean, they must have paid so much money for that upgrade. Mercedes go, yep. And,
there's no way that... Well, I was going to say there's no way they'd go over the cost cap because...
It wasn't that big a punishment though, was it?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So I don't think they would because they want to prove they can make a good car within the rules.
Yeah.
And they'll always have that one up being like, well, yeah, but you went over the cost cap.
Yeah.
But
come on, like, what was it, 7 mil?
Literally said when the punishment was announced, they were like, oh, okay. Well, I'll just...
I think everyone was,
Yeah, I'll just allow myself an extra 7 million and... Because they can afford it.
And because they're not going to come first.
Yeah.
They've still got quite a lot of wind tunnel time, a pretty good amount.
Yeah, because they didn't even come second last year.
Yeah. So, why not?
Anyway.
Contracts. Lewis Hamilton, George Russell. George Russell it's a rumour currently, isn't it?
Yeah, hasn't been confirmed.
Hasn't been confirmed, but he is going to be kept by Mercedes. Not a surprise, because he's a great driver.
Yeah, but maybe it's slightly surprised that it's being announced now because he was in contract till the end of next year.
Yeah, so well, obviously contracts are on their mind.
Yeah.
It makes sense
Lock him in.
it makes sense to lock in Russell because, you know, the difference between Hamilton and Russell is Russell's a racer, Hamilton is a racer and a brand ambassador. I think that's the difference. You know, Hamilton has so much more going on with Mercedes than just racing.
Yeah.
So it's no surprise that the contract with Lewis is taking longer. Mm-hmm. Are we going to hear about Hamilton's contract soon? Apparently, it was taking place today.
Yesterday. They were having another chat, but I think they're far more relaxed about it than everybody else is.
Totally.
Everyone else is just like, what's happening? Is he going to retire? Obviously not. He's clearly
Fighting for his eighth.
Going for his eighth. Is he going to move to Ferrari? No, he
Who would move to Ferrari right now? Come on.
He said multiple times, I'm staying loyal to the team. He's
just haven't
like you
announced
said,
it yet.
he's got so much more going on with Mercedes than just racing. And yeah, they're just I think his contract, like you say, will be a lot more complicated. There's more involved with it. He's probably going to want to get more money if he can.
Someone said 80 million is what Hamilton should be asking for. 80 million
that makes me
dollars, I believe they said. I believe it was Peter Windsor. 80 million because it's 40 mil for the driving and 40 mil for the brand.
Yeah.
You know, the branding that he brings and the marketing that he brings.
I mean,
it's a lot of money.
That makes me want to curl up into a ball and cry a little bit.
Yeah, why can't you become an F1 driver?
I don't. Well, because I'm a woman.
Oh.
Anyway.
Ooh.
Hopefully that will change.
Hopefully that will change. 10 years.
Not me, because, I mean, I'm definitely not.
No, not you personally.
I definitely don't have what it takes to be an F1 driver, but hopefully, you know, we'll see some in there in the future. But that's a conversation for another time.
Susie Wolf says 10 years. It's a long time. Yeah. Anyway.
Getting back to Lewis, I think they'll announce it when they'll announce it.
Yeah.
They're so relaxed.
They're probably just like, Lewis, can we talk about contracts? Like, 1 second, just working on the car. And I was like, okay. And that was my Toto Wolff.
Wow.
Bought by Nickel. There's a video of him where he...
terrible.
Bought by Nickel. There's a video of him talking about what he has for breakfast. It's the best thing in the world. I think it's on GQ YouTube channel. Go watch it. It's brilliant. It's a nice like insight into what makes him a good businessman. I'm not going to say
billionaire.
A good billionaire. I'm pretty sure it's GQ, but I will put it in the description somewhere. It's a really good watch.
Wouldn't it be funny if they've actually already done the contract? They probably did it at Christmas. Eggnog.
Yeah.
And they're just like, shall we just wait? They'll wait till Abu Dhabi. And they'll be like, oh, by the way.
Yeah. It's just drama, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not drama. Behind the scenes, it'll be completely fine. They're just like, at some point we'll get to it.
Yeah.
I mean, before we sign off, we've actually missed a couple of bits out. Lando Norris, for one, and Leclerc. Leclerc had a very unlucky day.
And Alonso.
Oh, and Alonso, yeah.
I feel like there was too much hype around him. It was like everything was adding up to 33.
Yeah. The stars were aligning.
Literally, everyone was just like, it's going to happen. It's happening
win.
today. Then he got floor damage in qualifying. Yeah, it just didn't happen for him.
Didn't happen.
You know, Lando Norris. Oh.
Well, just quickly, Aston Martin are bringing upgrades in Canada.
Yes, he did say that.
He was like, we're going to smash.
Yeah.
Like he said something
like crush them.
Crush them.
They're strong words.
Strong word, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, come on. Aston Martin. Just Alonso getting his 33rd win.
I know.
Please. You know, he's not going to win the championship, obviously, but just a 33rd win for him. He can go to bed happy, can't he? You can go to sleep dreaming about his 34th.
Do you think he's even bothered about it? Or is this something that...
No, of course he is. He's a racing driver. They are always going for the next win.
He's just so relaxed, though. He's really laid back.
He's zen, isn't he? He must
Power
be...
of a relationship.
Yeah, I was just going to say. He's... Maybe you should join Ferrari. Get his red era.
Oh, dear God. Right, anyway. Lando Norris. So exciting. When he qualified third, was so good.
I jumped and screamed.
Yeah, and McLaren have brought upgrades. You suddenly think, oh, is it happening? Like, are we going to see them not fighting at the top,
No.
We knew that it was very unlikely that he would keep third position,
Yeah.
but we thought it would last longer than 2 turns. And it was
Hamilton.
he hit Hamilton the second on turn 2 of lap 1.
Damaged his front wing.
And then pit straight away,
Down
fighting from the back. He finished 17th or something like that. And I was just like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, he was not feeling optimistic going into the race, was he? He was like, I think it was Sky F1 were like, oh, what's your plan? And he was like, hold on to
for dear life.
Yeah, he was like, oh yeah, hold on to the top 3. No, hold on to the top 10.
Yeah.
And that is just reflective of where McLaren is right now, isn't it?
I mean, this is another indication of why I could never be an F1 driver, but I saw him at the back and he was so far behind after his first pit, and I was just like,
I
would have
drop it off.
Given up.
Yeah.
Go afternoon tea somewhere, nice.
Oh yeah, cup of tea. We'll have a cup of tea. We'll have a cup of tea. But before we have a cup of tea, we must sign off. Thank you so much for listening to the first episode of the Driven Mad podcast. I think it's gone really well.
Well, we'll soon find out.
We'll see. This is actually our second episode. We did record one, but everything stopped working. So we were kind of just...
difficulty.
Yeah, we kind of just sat talking to each other for no reason.
Yeah.
Not doing our work.
Waste of time.
Yeah. If you enjoyed this, please go and subscribe to the podcast. iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, Player FM, and more, your favourite podcast supplier. If you don't want to listen to it, you can watch it on YouTube. We're going to be somewhere on YouTube. I think we will be on the GT Junkies channel. Just search for GT Junkies. Or you can... GT Chunky? That's me. If you can't find it, search for the Driven Mad podcast. We'll be there somewhere. Follow Lydia, me, at LydiaMeF1. Follow me, Alex Does F1, on Twitter. We are going in on the Twitter, aren't we? We'll be in Austin later this year. Hopefully we'll be at Silverstone. We'll bring you lots of content from them. Subscribe, like and subscribe. Comment down below. Let me know what I should eat in Austin. We are big foodies.
Ooh.
So if you live in Austin, around the track, let us know what to eat, because me hungry.
Okay.
As they once said in Fast and Furious. See you in the next podcast. Bye from me.
Bye from me. See you soon.